Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Books, Gurrs, and Purrs. My name's Leslie, and today we're just going to have a bookish chat. We're going to go from books I bought for this season. Time's flying by, so one season is ending and another one's about to begin. And so yeah, I wanted to change this year to talk about the books I bought, but seasonally, just to kind of make the videos more manageable time-wise. So we'll be doing that. And then what else? I wanted to talk about some anticipated reads and a book adaptation. There's two I'm interested in, and we'll talk a little bit about that. All right, so this year I stopped by the what do you call it? Los Angeles Times Book Fair. I think I went on a Sunday. I'm already forgetting. I spent a little bit more time than I usually do. It gets very crowded. It gets very hot. And I could only handle so much. But this year was good. I didn't go on a crazy splurge or anything. And I feel like I have plenty of books at home. So there's plenty to tackle. Mostly, I think I just got like a really nice book bag that I thought was really cute from Skylight Books. Actually, I should have had it so I could show it to you because it's really cute. Maybe I'll add that as a little post or something. So yeah, I picked up James Baldwin's Another Country. I love James Baldwin's work, and there's so much more that I have to read. I read a handful of his books in February of this year. And so this is definitely an author where I'll want to buy his books. Plenty of the books that I've purchased by James Baldwin's are secondhand. I have a secondhand bookstore near me, but I just happened to be at the book fest and I thought this was really cool. There's a YouTuber, I can't think of their name, but the channel's called The Naughty Librarian, and they were also there, and I would have liked to bump into her, but I'm kind of glad I didn't because I think I would have geeked out too hard. And so The Naughty Librarian was there and was right next to an author that I really love, Stephen Graham Jones. And so I didn't even realize that they were there. I wasn't really paying attention this year to who was going to be there. But yeah, so this is the only book that I got. I think I also grabbed something for my daughter, but I already forgot what it was. So I've never read this, and it says, set in Greenwich Village, Harlem, and France, among other locales, Another Country is a novel of passion, sexual, racial, political, artistic, that is stunning for its emotional intensity and haunting sensuality, depicting men and women, blacks and whites, stripped of their masks of gender and race by love and hatred at their most elemental and sublime. So I'm pretty sure that James Baldwin's birthday month is August, so next year in August, I will also be focusing on this author's work again, and just dedicate a month to him. Next year, I won't be handling things the way that I am this year. I'm very author-focused each month. I'm really enjoying that approach. It's nice to see how some authors are creating like this long-term thematic narrative, and that's really been enjoyable to have that revealed to me in a way. So yeah, I bought this at the LA Fest. And then, where did I get this at? Oh, at some point I did like some retail splurging at Barnes & Noble, I think. Actually, I could be wrong. I don't remember where I bought these, darn. But I grabbed Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. It's a memoir. I hear all these really lovely things about this memoir, and so I want to tackle it hopefully this May. I've just added it to all my other books that I want to read for the month of May, but let's see if I can actually get to it. And it says that she's an indie rock musician and had a struggling career when she got a call that her mother was ill. And she takes off to Oregon to spend time with her mother, and it talks about that time period. But I hear good things. I've seen interviews with the author and musician, and so I look forward to reading this, if I can make it happen. I also picked up The Committed by Viet then Nguyen. I also want to get to this book, but it looks kind of thick, and the writing is typical regular size. I was hoping to find like a audiobook to pair with this, and I couldn't find it, and I'm a slow reader, so wish me luck. We'll see how good I do. So this is a sequel, and on the back it says an instant New York Times bestseller and named one of the best books of the year by NPR. The Committed is a sequel to the 2016 Pulitzer Prize winner, The Sympathizer, which has now sold over 1 million copies. A brilliant story of money, crime, friendship, and betrayal. It follows the so-called man of two minds as he arrives in Paris in the early 1980s. There, he tries to overcome his past and ensure his future by engaging in capitalism in one of its purest forms, drug dealing. But his new life is dogged by perils. And so, again, I look forward to reading this. And also, this author is coming out with, I don't know if it's a memoir. I think a memoir is coming out this year, towards the end. So that's definitely going to be an anticipated read for me. I don't know the publishing date, so I could be wrong, but it's coming out soon. And also, I did see the author at the LA Times Book Festival. He was a moderator for a poet that I can't think of the name of. I'm not familiar with, but I just happened to be walking through that path of where the poetry section was, and so I was delighted to see him there. It just felt like just a really cool moment, you know? So let me see. This is funny. I don't know. Did I get all these books? I guess I did. I went to Barnes & Noble recently for Mother's Day and just wanted to splurge. And my daughter agreed. She asked me what I wanted to do, and that's all I wanted to do. Especially since restaurants are always so busy on the holidays. I just didn't want to do that to myself. So something that I want to get into over time is cozy reading books. There's something about cozy reading and also reading romance. It's really hard for me. I just feel like there's a part of my brain that just won't relax into it. The first cozy read I've ever read was Legends and Lattes, and I really enjoyed that book. It was so cute. So I'm going to give it a try again. I picked up this book. It's a translated literature, and it's called The Cat Who Saved Books. And I'm trying to think of how to say the author's name, and I don't want to butcher it. Sosuke Natsukawa, I think. And it's translated by Louise Hill Kawai. And on the back it says, awkward teenager Rintaro is about to close a secondhand bookshop he inherited from his beloved grandfather. But before the bookshop's doors close for good, a talking cat suddenly appears with an unusual request: Rintaro's help. The mission sends them on a cross-dimensional journey to save books from abusive and neglected owners, from a businessman who leaves his books to perish on a shelf to a publishing drone who cares only about bestsellers. I thought that was kind of an element of adventure, fantasy, very much written for book lovers, so I thought I would enjoy this. So yeah, let's see. I don't know when I'm going to read this, but I think what I'm going to do is insert cozy reads either throughout next year with whatever I want to read for the month, or I might just have cozy and romance reads designated for this December. I think that would also be a good idea, but we'll see. Okay. Oh yeah. The next book I picked up is Pizza Girl by Jean Koyoung Fraser. I love this cover. Someone else I follow on socials posted about this, and I just love the cover so much. And every time I bump into this book, I just tell myself don't buy it, but I finally bought it. And on the back it says, 18-year-old, pregnant and working as a pizza delivery girl in suburbs Los Angeles, our charmingly dysfunctional heroine is deeply lost. She's grieving the death of her father, avoiding her supportive mom and loving boyfriend, and flagrantly ignoring the future. So this kind of seems like someone that's a bit of a train wreck in their life, and how it goes from there. I love reading those stories. I like to read about people that are complex and just trying to like figure themselves out. So this is up my alley. I think I really enjoy it. Let me see. Okay. This is another one. The Marrow Thieves is a series. I know there's a second book that just came out. I haven't read either of them, but I've been wanting to read this for so long, and I saw that this was available in paperback, and I'm a fan of paperback rather than hardcover. And on the back it says, in a world nearly destroyed by global warming, the indigenous people of North America are being hunted for their bone marrow, which carries a key to recovering something the rest of the population has lost, the ability to dream. Frenchie and his companions, struggling to survive, don't yet know that one of them holds the secret to defeating the Marrow Thieves. And I think I'm really going to enjoy this, but also just reading about the synopsis makes me reflect on, although this is possibly speculative fiction or science fiction, it really is a reflection of what's going on right now. It sounds like something that could definitely go on right now. So, also, I'd have to say, I don't know where this takes place, actually, as I'm saying that. In North America, right? Oh, okay. So, I guess I'm wondering about the little history that I do know about all the terrible things, medical things that have happened in history, specifically here in the United States. And so, that's what calls out to me in this story. So, I have an understanding that I'm probably going to really love this and want to read the second book. And I don't know how many books are going to be in the series, but I think I'm really going to like it. So I look forward to reading this. Alright, and then here I am with another James Baldwin book, The Devil Finds Work. On the back it says, James Baldwin's personal reflections on movies gathered here in a book-length essay are also a probing appraisal of American racial politics, offering an inclusive look at racism in America, movies, and a vision of America's self-delusions and deception. Baldwin challenges the underlying assumptions in such films as In the Heat of the Night, Guess Who's Coming to the Dinner, and The Exorcist. I've seen The Exorcist. I know the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Don't be too mad at me, I've never seen it. And In the Heat of the Night, I think I was too young for this. I'm picturing the two actors that are in it, but I have not seen it. So maybe once I actually read this, which will be next year in August, I need to carve out time to watch the movies that these essays reference. And I look forward to seeing what James Baldwin has to say on these subjects, because I just finished reading a handful of books by Hanif Abdurraqib, and movies is something that he touches upon as far as talking about like stereotypes and racist narratives in film. So I want to read that and kind of like think about those type of connections both of those authors are making. And lastly, this wasn't an impulse buy. I legitimately bought these 2 books that I really wanted to read. I don't know when I'm going to or how. So that's kind of where I'm at. Sorry. I have my computer off screen because I have some notes I want to reference. Alright, so I didn't know anything about this book, I'll say, but I read an article about the author that just recently won an award for this particular book, and it was just such a sweet article. The author seemed humble and surprised about this award that they just won. In fact, the author says something like, I read all the other books for everyone else that was a candidate, and she just thought there's no way that she's going to win, and she ended up winning. And it's Tomorrow Berry, Buried in a Good Book. So this kind of goes along with the idea that I want to get into more cozy reads. This is one book, so I think this author is going to continue this as a series, and I just don't know how many books. But on the back it says, best-selling thriller author Tess Harrow and her teenage daughter Gertrude need a fresh start. Now that Tess's divorce is final, the best place for her and Gertie to heal and reconnect in the rustic cabin in the woods that Tess inherited from her late grandfather. Between the beautiful pond on the property, the majestic mountain view, and the peaceful forest, it should be a relaxing getaway. But they've barely made it through the door when an explosion shakes the cabin, and it's suddenly raining fish parts. And is that a human arm? And so I guess it's kind of like a cozy crime. And it's just so cute, the cover. There's a typewriter. There's someone peeping through. A shovel. It's just something that I think that I'll enjoy. Alright, and the last book that I'm going to discuss, and I'm so glad I got it. I was Googling the author Tommy Orange. I just wanted to look at a curiosity every once in a while to see if he has anything new publishing. His debut novel did well, and it's called There. And I've seen him in other interviews. Actually, one of the interviews was with Viet then Nguyen, where he mentioned that he's thinking about making a sequel to There. And so it's just one of those things on my mind. I kind of check every once in a while to see if anything that he's written is getting published. And I came across I Know What's Best for You, Stories on Reproductive Freedom, edited by Shelley Oria, and Tommy Orange is one of the contributors. And that's what made me really jump out about this particular book, and I can't wait to read it. It says, this explosive intersectional collection of essays, fiction, poems, plays, and more explores the universality of human reproduction experiences as well as their distinctive individuality. So I definitely think this is also a book that's going to hold my attention because there's so many different styles and formats that the subjects are explored. And so I think it's also something I really enjoy is anthologies, just collections of different authors really interests me. So I don't know when I'm going to read this, but I couldn't help myself and I had to order it. I ended up ordering those 2 books, the cozy read, the cozy crime read, and this particular collection that has Tommy Orange as a contributor through Amazon. I know. I shouldn't order from Amazon that often. I try not to. But those 2 books, I had a difficult time coming across, and I decided to reward myself. So I got those 2. And that's it for all the books I purchased this season. I love how I told myself my goal was to not buy any more books. And then eventually I cave in and get more. Alright, I had to set up my laptop because I also want to talk about just a couple of books that are my anticipated reads, and they're later in the year, like in September. One of them is Leslie Jones, the stand-up comedian, is having a memoir come out in around September, like mid-September, which is my birthday month, so that's pretty cool. I really love stand-up comedy, and especially during the pandemic, that was a period of time where I really listened to a ton of stand-up, a lot of comedy podcasts, just anything to keep my spirits up, and it really did the job. And so I love Leslie Jones's podcast that she has with Lenny Marcus, which is like her comedy partner. They write together, and I like their rapport, and they just kind of have that like edge to them that also has me laughing at the same time. And so yeah, I can't wait for her memoir. Jen Campbell is an author that also has a YouTube channel, and she writes children's books and poetry, and also she put out, I want to say 2 books, I think, that really kicked off her being, I guess, more well known and celebrated, which revolved around her publishing these, I don't know what we want to call it, it's not quite short stories, but she would publish what people would tell her at the bookstores that she worked at. And the name is something similar to that. I can't think of it right now. But she's coming out with a poetry collection called Please Do Not Touch This Exhibit. And it comes out also in September 14th. And she also talks about having a disability, her healthcare situation, and having to navigate society with disabilities. And so this is what the poetry collection is going to touch upon. And so I look forward to it. I'm definitely going to order it once it's published. Questlove is having a new publishing imprint called AUWA. And the first book that's going to come out is a memoir by Sly Stone. I should know that. Oh my gosh. I love Sly Stone's music. I have a record of Sly Stone and the Family something something. I have like 2 of the albums, and then he has like a lot of solo work as well, I believe. So anyways, I'm sure you've heard their music before. If you look up Sly Stone, yeah, you'll see all their work, and I guarantee you've heard their song. Even if you don't know who he is, you've heard his music. And so knowing about this new publishing imprint and that Sly Stone is going to be putting out a memoir, I'm really excited. I think comes out in October. Oh gosh, I already forgot. I think it's October. I wrote it down. I'm kind of annoyed with myself. Yeah, it comes out in October 2023 on the 17th. And so yeah, there's a couple of books like towards the middle of the year, headed towards the end as well, where I'm going to be buying those books, definitely. Alright, I'm going to put that aside. I feel like it's going to... with my mouse. Alright guys, I have some thoughts. And I want to know what you think, because just because I have an opinion doesn't mean I'm right. Alright, so I read Killers of the Flower Moon in November. This is one of the most riveting nonfiction crime novels I've ever read. I'm glad I read it. It was very emotionally draining as well, and just makes a person sad when you read it. It's one thing to intellectually know all the terrible things that the United States has done. It's a different thing when you have to put yourself in the headspace to hear specific details. It just drives home the point that so many lives were lost. So I'll go ahead and read you the back. It says, in the 1920s, the richest people per capita in the world were members of Osage Nation in Oklahoma. After oil was discovered beneath their land, they rode in chauffeured cars and lived in mansions. Then, one by one, the Osage began to be killed. Molly Burkhart watched as her family became a prime target. Her relatives were shot and poisoned. Other Osage were also dying under mysterious circumstances, and many of those who investigated the crimes were themselves murdered. As the death toll rose, the case was taken up by the newly created FBI and its young, secretive director, J. Edgar Hoover, struggling to crack the mystery. Hoover turned to a former Texas Ranger named Tom White, who put together an undercover team, including a Native American agent. They infiltrated this last remnant of the Wild West, and together with the Osage began to explore one of the most chilling conspiracies in American history. And it's just that, it's absolutely chilling. Alright, so here's the deal. I didn't know when I read this that it was going to become a movie, but it's been shot, it's going to be released, the trailer's out. I'm not going to say that the movie's not going to be good. I'm sure once it's available, I'm actually going to enjoy watching it. Enjoy is not the right word, but I just want to see this actually be represented and to have more exposure to what happened. The thing is, the person that's directing it is Martin Scorsese, and I get it, he's a beloved author, but as soon as I knew it was going to be him, I just feel like I would have rather this story be a docuseries on HBO or PBS, or if they were going to do not a movie, but like a reenactment of this, a fictional narrative but based on this, basically, which is what Martin Scorsese is doing. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words. I would have just liked it if it was tackled by people that are indigenous and not someone non-indigenous. Not that anything I say really matters. I'm Mexican American, but I just kind of feel like there's not enough stories cinematically of people telling their own stories, and I would have rather that happen. Not to like shame this movie or anything, I'm still gonna see it, but what has like alarm bells going off for me is the fact that this is someone that directed Taxi Driver, Wolf of Wall Street, Goodfellas. So in a majority of Scorsese's films, he's centering the perpetrators, and so that's what made me have like a red flag go off when I heard that he was going to be the one to direct it. And then I saw who adapted this to script, and it just seems like it's also someone that's not indigenous. So that's just like something to consider, and I hope people have like a dialogue around that. But I'm not trying to like come off like, I don't know, negative either. I'm just happy that the story is being told, so that it gets out there. And the reason why is I was just reading the comments alone about the trailer that came out, and that's usually something that I don't do, but I'm just so curious what people think about not just the book, but about the book being adapted. And I was already getting so irritated because it seems like people clearly don't want an indigenous narrative to be told, but not just that, people don't want to face like what the United States did, and like it's not even history, it's like not too far in the past, you know. So I just saw a lot of comments like that were really frustrating, which made me feel stronger about my opinion that I wish this story was told about, I'm sorry, by Indigenous people rather. And in the trailer, the narration is done by Leonardo DiCaprio, and not one Indigenous person in the trailer says any lines. So that's what bothered me. And yeah, there's a lot of other things cinematically that I wasn't okay with in the trailer, but it's already been shot. So yeah, I don't want to be too heavy-handed, but that was just something that I was thinking about. And I hope more people have like a dialogue around it. And I'm going to go ahead and go further because I just saw how people were saying like, oh, there's Yellowstone. I've never seen Yellowstone, but the person who credited it is non-Indigenous. And then he has this like multiverse of all these different television series. And I don't know. I just kind of feel like I would rather see people tell their own stories instead of somebody else that's not Indigenous take that narrative away from someone and go, no, I could write it. That's how I kind of feel. And that's something that is on my mind, especially after reading Hanif Abdurraqib's work. I think that's a point that he really drove home, that in United States American society there's been such a push for so long for white America and white supremacy to tailor other people's narratives that are also American for their liking. And it's just I don't know, something that I care about. Anyways, so yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Oh, there's one other movie that's coming out that's an adaptation, and I'm gonna have to look it up real quick because I don't want to make this very long. There's going to be an adaptation of the book Poor Things by, I have to look at his name, Yorgos Lanthimos, and I've seen the director's other work, and so the fact that the author is taking on this particular adaptation actually works really well because they have kind of a oddly quirky and weird, I don't know, cinematic sensibility. And so I don't want to say too much. Maybe I should wait till later to discuss this. But I just think that this director is perfect for that particular book. And I look forward to see what they're going to do with it. I think that's it. That's everything that I've covered. So let me know what you think about all these different books that I threw my money at. Let me know what you think about the adaptation of Killers of the Flower Moon, as well as anticipated reads. What is your anticipated read this year? Also, Yellowface came out. I don't know when I'm going to read that. That's another anticipated read, but it's out already. So, yeah, I look forward to hearing all the chatter around the new releases this year, anticipated reads, and thank you for chatting with me, and I'll talk to you later.